are we?
That's what I'm talking about, talking about, talking about. That's what I'm talking about, talking about, talking about.
Hi, welcome to Talking About It. I'm John Griffith.
I'm Cara Kilduff. Guys, look at these curtains behind us. They changed.
Magic.
What do you guys? I feel like I'm on not The Price is Right, but maybe The Price is Right.
Old school prices, right?
Yeah, from the 70s.
Let's make
The
a deal.
dating
Let's
game.
make a deal.
Yes.
The dating game.
Yes, all those wonderful, cheesy 70s,
Day last
80s
fall
game
when I left
shows.
my mother's hospital bedside to go find my
So,
dad.
do you guys like?
Across town in
It's a little different. I was being lazy and the lighting was done.
I love
Thank you,
it.
Renee.
I really like it a lot. Can we do this every month?
We can.
Great.
Got someone really cool with us today.
Who? I don't remember his name.
What's his name?
It's DJ Chauncey
Hello, hello.
Welcome, welcome.
from TGIF.
TGIF with Tim and Laura.
Yeah.
Where I wanted to get all the exposure today, so I kidnapped them and I hid them in the closet. So I'm the only one
Did you
here.
pull a Tanya Harding on them?
Yeah, I was like, Tom, you can't go to the show. And Laura, here's some gluten. Stick you to the
here's
wall.
some cheese and gluten.
Yeah.
Yeah, you gave her pizza. You force-fed her
I
pizza.
force-fed her
And
pizza.
she's retching in a corner somewhere now. And Tom is like, oh, Pete Ragu, I can't take you out. Oh, my knee hurts so much. And Pete is like, F you, Daddy.
And Mama Ragu's like, go outside.
Yeah.
So how are you?
I'm great. I'm great. It's always awesome to come here. Once I figured out how to get here, the very first time I ever came here, I got lost for about 30 minutes because all the locals kept telling me the wrong way to go. So I was like, thanks. But this is my third time, so I'm a pro.
Oh, you're
The
a
7
pro.
train doesn't bother me, doesn't scare me.
Yeah. I willed a seat on an Express 7 train.
You picked somebody up and threw them across the
No,
car.
it was a guy. I told you guys this in the green room, but it was this big guy who was trying to take up. You know, on the new trains, how like the 2-seater is very generous with the space.
Generous.
Because people are getting like wider. So this guy,
Guilty.
he was like trying to ooze onto the whole thing, and it was rush hour, and I was like, no, bro, there's like 3 inches. I'll squeeze my ass into there, and I just was so nice and kind. I was like, hey, can I sit there? And he was like, and then he moved his bag.
When you're that pleasant,
Yeah,
people can't really argue.
But I just kept smiling at him. Maybe he thought I was a tourist, but I was just like, I was trying to convey kindness to this guy.
Either that or they'll get up and like move to another car because they're
No,
afraid
he
of you.
didn't. And I sat down, and it was kind of comfy, you know, like he was there, and he was like a rock, not really a rock, but he was a solid mass next to me.
He's a mushy rock.
Yeah.
You're probably just channeling all the time that you've spent in Canada lately into that aura of niceness.
Maybe.
People are nice in Canada. I was there last August. Everyone's really
It's clean there,
clean and sweet and friendly.
for the most part.
Montreal, where'd you go? Where were you?
Montreal.
Montreal. I really like Montreal.
Yeah, it's nice. It's a good place. But anyway,
anyway.
what's going on with you
Yeah.
besides like the 4-year anniversary
we
of TGIF?
just celebrated 4 years, and just celebrated my 3rd year anniversary with them. TGIF with Tom and Laura is on B-Bucks Radio every Friday at noon. And I do the tech for it. Tom designs all the mixes, and I play the music underneath. I'm kind of like the Paul Schaefer of the show.
You are.
Because
You're
Laura's like Ed
included.
McMahon. Well, actually, that's David Letterman, right? I'm mixing.
It's okay. You
That's
can
okay.
mix.
But Laura and Tom are like the main hosts, and then I just interject whenever I can. I also do a segment called Chauncey's Closet, where I pull out songs from my past that I either play or that I really loved when I was younger, and I do a little paragraph about them, and we play it. So I have my own little
I like that.
little moment every week. Yeah.
When you shine.
Yeah, but it's a really fun. I can't believe we've been doing it. They've been doing it for 4 years, and I've been doing it for 3 years. Like that's a lot of time. That's a lot of Fridays.
Well, when you
You've been a
came
guest several times.
Yeah, and when you came on, it was like seamless, and you are such a perfect fit with them. And
Because I'm a goofball, and they're goofballs.
yeah,
So 3 goofballs in one studio.
it's a very small studio.
Yes,
guys.
it's very small.
It's so small.
And it's like a
cramped.
fishbowl.
Yeah.
Because it's in one of those indoor malls. Like you walk through one
It's
at
on
one.
the corner.
Yeah, it's on the corner. So like people walk through and they just look in and they're like, oh, there's a radio show, you know, and they don't know we can hear them. You know?
But it makes me feel like the times that I've been there and like tourists walk by and like point and stuff, it's like, this is how monkeys at a zoo feel.
Yeah.
Like, ugh, humans are just, ugh.
Just like, look at that. Yeah, I mean, it's a great show. We have a lot of awesome guests all the time. We have some really great shows coming up. Big name DJs. Ralphie Rosario's coming. Bunch of comedians, artists. You know, and then actually, in June we have two very special guests. That'll segue into what I'm going to talk about what I did in January. But the Prince Mavendra and Duke DeAndre from India, the first openly gay prince.
Okay.
In January, me and two friends went to India for about 12 days with a group called Broadway to Bombay. Mm-hmm. And what we did is we brought flag dancing classes to the LGBT community in India because they just legalized, they just decriminalized homosexuality in September of last year.
I think you were going to say they just decriminalized flag dancing.
Yeah, they criminalized flag.
On the flag dancing.
Yeah.
That's uber gay.
Yeah. No, but it's also it's a way for them to express themselves and get out what they can't talk about, because being gay there is a very new thing. Like the social construct of being gay. There are homosexuals there, but the idea of being, you know, socially gay, because I always think being gay is a social thing, whereas being homosexual is just an act. You know what I mean? It's, you know, you can be one or without being the other. But the prince was amazing. He's the first openly gay prince in India.
Is he hot?
Oh, he's a great guy. I can't really say that. I don't know. He is disowned by his family, all that kind of stuff, and they've come to terms with it in the past 6 or 7 years. So they have a campus in Rajpipla, India, where we stayed most of the time, that they're going to turn into a haven for LGBT people who've either been ostracized or kicked out of their homes. So they're doing a lot of great work there.
That's so cool.
And I documented everything. I was my first stint as a documentarian, so I have a new thing to add to my resume.
And you got to have real Indian food.
Yes. And
was your mouth on fire?
I love spicy food, so the spicy food wasn't a problem. It was the remembering not to drink certain water from, we had all these things that we were not allowed to do. So like, there was one point where we were at the train station and I bought like some kind of food from this thing, and I took one bite and I go, you weren't supposed to do this. And I was like, bloop, and I put it back and I ran away. Like, you're not supposed to eat street food, you're not supposed to drink tap water, you're not supposed to, there's certain things you're not supposed to do because as a non-Indian, your body can't handle it. Yeah, they can handle it, but we can't. Because me and my friend Mikhail got sick only once, towards the end of the trip, right before our 4-hour train ride back to Mumbai. It was like 4 hours, and our stomachs were like, blah, 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 So that was exciting, But one of my favorite parts was they have a mall there that's only about 8 years old, and it was the most precious moment I've ever seen. There was this family at the top of an escalator, and it took them like about 4 to 5 minutes to get up the courage to step onto the escalator because they probably have never seen an escalator before. And finally, the youngest kid was like real daring one, and he went down, and they were like, "Oh, that's how you do it." And they all eventually came down. But it was the most it was such a sweet moment to see that kind of culture clash, I guess.
That's cool. Are you gonna go back?
Yeah, probably not. Maybe not next year, but the year after. It's a lot of time to take off of work, and it's because when you work in nightlife, you don't get vacation days, so you have to. We planned it a little late. Like if we planned it a little earlier, I would have had more time to like prepare financially. But I did fine. It was great. It wasn't that expensive there. The exchange rate is so American money
was in your favor.
Yeah, American money is worth a lot there, and things are just cheap there. Like things are like $1.50. Which translates to like 80 cents for us, But something that would cost like $10 here only costs $1 there, So it was pretty cool. That's BroadwayToBombay.org or .com.
What is it again?
BroadwayToBombay.com.
Broadway to Bombay.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I should know this. I do this social media.
Besides flag dancing?
Oh no, it was what they did is we did they did a performance, my two friends that do the choreographer and the flag dance instructor, and then they got the audience to create a movement with the flags, the smaller flags, and then they choreographed a whole like 5-part routine that then they taught everybody that, and then everybody did it together.
That's cool.
So it wasn't like club flag dancing with the. It was a little bit of that, but it wasn't like, you know, like tweaker in the club kind of thing. It was more of like an expression and more of like getting out.
Did you record that?
Yeah, there's an upcoming documentary that my friend Mikkel is going to be a part of that I filmed our trip so that some of those pieces will be in. This is a 4-part documentary about 4 different people. So it's just a bunch of extra footage that'll be incorporated into his vignette in the documentary. So.
You are always up to some really interesting things.
I know. I just, you know, it's funny. I just got my passport last January and went to Iceland. And now I've been to Iceland, Montreal, and India. And people are like, those are 3 really odd places to start when you first get your passport. I'm like, well, I waited 40 years to get a passport, so might as well put it to.
How is Iceland?
Iceland was cool. I'm glad it was a short trip. I don't think I would want to have been there longer. We didn't catch the Northern Lights. We think we caught a little bit of the gray version of it, but we were out in the cold for 3 hours. But you see things in the sky there a lot. But one of the girls that I went with, she saw it from the plane on the way there. She took a picture of like the very green bright light. But that was the only disappointing part. But we got to see the geysers. We got to see a lot of area where Game of Thrones is filmed. The biggest waterfall there. It was terrifying. It was just this huge waterfall, just ice everywhere. It's a very cold country. Yes.
Well, you have a lot of good stuff coming up.
Well, this is my busy season. Dance Parade's coming up on Saturday, May 18th. It's our 13th annual Dance Parade. It starts on 21st and Broadway and goes down and makes a left on 8th Street and goes into Tompkins Square Park for a 4-hour festival. There's 5 different stages, and it's all free. 5 different stages of dance, performances, lessons. There's a DJ in the basketball court. But the parade route, there's about 80 different unique styles of dance represented, and about 150 groups we usually have. So it's supposedly the biggest celebration of multiculturalism in the world through dance. So.
This means that.
And you're supposed to be one of my dance police last year, but you chickened out.
When is it again?
The Saturday before Memorial Day. If you'd like to join the dance police is the reason Dance Parade started was because of the cabaret laws and part of our purpose of Dance Parade was to knock down the cabaret law, and last year it was knocked down. So now every year is just a celebration. But they used to have a task force in the actual police department called the Dance Police, and they were the ones who would go to a bar.
That's
and
so lame.
Yeah, they would go to a bar, and if you didn't have a cabaret license and you had people dancing, they would fine you or shut you down. So our retaliation was, we created the Dance Police, the New York Dance Police, and what we do is we give tickets to people who aren't dancing. So we're trying to make people have more fun, you know.
Yeah.
So, and I'm the commissioner, so.
Of course you are.
Yes, Commissioner.
Yeah. So.
This is going to be the part of your year when you're going nonstop and you're running on fumes.
Yeah. Because I also have
remember
Urban Bear Weekend is the same weekend, which is a celebration of big hairy gay men in the city. That's theurbanbear.com, and Dance Parade is danceparade.org. And also, World Pride is coming up, and I work at Stonewall, which is where in the Stonewall 50th anniversary. Yeah, Stonewall 50th anniversary, 1969 were the riots. So working at Stonewall is kind of wild because we don't really know what to expect.
Yeah, all begins with a bunch of pissed off drag queens.
Yeah, exactly. And it's
50 years.
World Pride is being held here in New York. So they said that the parade is going to be about 12 hours long this year, which is already about 8 to 9 hours long. And I heard that about 2 million people have been approved for visas to come into the country around that time.
Oh my gosh.
That's aside from the people from like Wisconsin that are coming in Ohio and California.
Oh my gosh.
So 2 million people from other countries are say there's supposed to be 5 million people in
I
the
didn't
city.
realize that it was like World Pride because just today I ran into an acquaintance in Central Park and she was running and I was like, why are you running? And she was like,
she says, World Pride is coming. I gotta run.
Well, I know that her wife runs, and like I didn't realize that because I know she's a painter, but I didn't realize that she did that also.
Like jogs runs?
Yeah,
Oh, I think.
and it was funny because because she was like all decked out, and she's like, well, yeah, I have a race, and I'm like, wait, Friday? She goes, no. I couldn't. She's Scottish. I couldn't understand. No,
She's like haggis.
Yeah, no, I thought she was just gonna run like a race and just, I don't know. But she's like, no, in June it's also gonna be World Pride. I'm like, oh.
So it's a
wow.
World Pride race?
Oh, yeah, no, she said it's
It's a World Pride anything.
The World Pride
She said it was
everything. Market it.
She kept calling it the gay race, the gay race. And I was just like, oh, like, is everyone gonna run like, hey?
We'd be like,
Yeah, but yeah, then she took off, and I was like,
crazy.
Yeah,
She's like, boy.
yeah. I mean, I didn't realize that, so she let me know. So thank you, Deb. I appreciate it. I did not know that it was World Pride.
World Pride.
Like,
Yeah, it's gonna be just the amount of people that are gonna be in the city. It's gonna
It's-
like the
it's
city's
gonna
gonna
be insane.
burst. You know what I mean? It's gonna like just like
2
burst
million
into
more
rainbow
people.
colors.
At least.
No, they say 5 million people are visiting that weekend that don't live here in total. So
Because it's also the week leading into July 4th.
yeah,
So if anybody's extending from weekend to weekend, that's just going to be freaking crazy.
the hotels must be making a killing.
Oh, yeah.
There's like 8 billion parties. I get an invite for a different party that weekend every other day. It's
Of
like
course, you're gonna have to go to all of them.
no, I pretty much
Good.
work that whole weekend.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I usually do the Urban Bear. We do a Pride beer blast at the Breast Monkey in the meatpacking district, and we're taking over all 3 floors this year, so it's going to be fun. So I'll be away from the madness most of the day.
In your own personal madness, really.
Yeah, I'll still be into madness. No, there's no point in trying to escape the madness.
So wait
Especially
a
that week.
second. One last question. Are you writing more poetry?
Yes, I've still been writing, and I'm working on editing the 2nd volume of my book, Something Tsunami, which the 1st volume is available on Amazon. Throw that little plug in there. But yeah, I'm so bad I'm such a procrastinator. It's sitting on my hard drive. Well, the original one has been sitting on my hard drive for 15 years. So I finally got the 1 volume out. So I'm working on the 2nd volume. That should be out by the end of the month. And then the next one I'll do next year. Give myself some time. Spread out the. Oh, also one last thing. A friend of mine is helping me publish my very first children's book.
What?
Yeah, it's called The Secrets of Alala Lollipop Mountain, and my friend heard me read the story. I do a monthly show at Stonewall called Freak Out. It's a variety show, comedians, which you're more than welcome to everyone to come and do anything. Comedians, live musicians, performance artists, everything. It's at Stonewall. The next one is the 30th of this month, Tuesday, the 30th. I read it at it, and I read that story because my theme that month was fairy tales. So I had an old fairy tale written, and he goes, I love that story. He's like, do you have any favorite children's book illustrators? And I go, I don't really read children's books, but I could do some research. He goes, well, research it. He goes, and I'll find someone. I know a lot of illustrators. I'll find someone, my friend Paolo, he goes, I'll find someone comparable, and we'll turn it into a children's book.
We have to talk because, well, okay, so my favorite, this is like kind of sad, but my favorite dog passed away on the 6th. And but we were talking, and I always wanted to write a series of children's books, and he was one of the characters. And my client was like, "Cara, now you have to. Now
you definitely have to.
You have to write your children's books.
Yes.
The time is now." And I was like,
Let
Okay.
the sadness propel you.
I'll do it for my boy.
What did Carrie Fisher say? Take your pain and turn it into art, right?
Yeah. So, because I already have like in my head like.
Yeah,
how
I have a
long
couple
the-
other ones that have been sitting on the back burner and all that, but this is it's long enough where it could be like one of those. If you stretch it out in a children's book, it's a full children's book. But a friend of mine, when I was reading, he goes, you need to take a breath when you read because you just. I go, well, I didn't want to like make it like a 12-hour reading, and he's like, I understood every word you said, but you were like, and I was like, well, if you stretch it out into a book with illustrations, it's a normal sized children's book,
Children's books are fun to read to kids. Like my no, I know my.
Well, they're fun to read to anyone,
Well,
I guess.
my dog's human sister, like I do
My
these.
dog's human sister.
Well, I do these dramatic readings for her, and you guys, if you have, there's a children's book that is so awesome. It's called The Bad Seed, and the illustrations are fantastic. It's about a sunflower seed, an errant sunflower seed. But look it up. It's
Errant sunflower seed.
But there's a whole page that says, "I'm a bad seed." And it's like this angry face, and the 2-year-old loves it, and she goes, "I'm a bad seed." I'm like, "Yes, you are."
No, that's bad.
No, it's great. No, you get, just look up the book. Go to the library.
The Bad Seed.
It's such a good book. Oh, it's fantastic.
And where can people find out more about you?
On Instagram, if you want to find out about my gigs, it's at DJ Chauncey D, DJCHAUNCEYD. My website, which I don't really keep up to date as I should, houseofdandridge.com. And yeah, I mean, and Dance Parade NYC on Instagram. And yeah, but so if you want to keep up with all my gigs, and my personal page is House of Dandridge on Instagram. So they get a little racy on that, you know, you take your drunken selfies and in your underwear and all that.
Thank you so much for
Thank you.
taking the time.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming, Chauncey.
There is always a seat open for you. So
No, I love coming here. I love
just
this
let me
one.
know, let us know, and
Yeah,
we
definitely.
appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
So I'm John Griffith,
I'm Cara Kilda.
and you are.